In the heart of a sun-baked village, where red dust rose with every passing footstep, lived a humble old man named Baba Kofi. Every morning before the rooster crowed, he was already awake, peeling bananas, sorting them carefully, and tying them into small bundles to sell at the roadside market. His back was curved like a question mark from years of bending to life's hardships. But his spirit stood tall. Baba Kofi wasn't wealthy. He didn't own a home with walls or a bed with cushions. His hut was made of corrugated iron and mud, with a single cracked lantern to keep the darkness at bay. But ask anyone in the village, and they'd say the same thing. He has nothing, yet he gives everything. Children often gathered around his banana stall, giggling and pointing. "Baba, one for free." They'd plead, and he'd smile, place a ripe one in their little hands, and say, "Only if you promise to grow kind." It was during one of those dry seasons when even the trees forgot how to bloom that Baba Kofi saw her. She was no more than 10. Her body curled beneath a broken wooden cart beside the market road. Her dress was torn, her feet bare, and her skin cracked from the sun. But it was her eyes half open, haunted by hunger and hurt, that caught him. For a moment, he stood frozen. Then, without hesitation, he bent down beside her. "Child," he whispered. She didn't speak. Her lips were dry and trembling. "Where's your family?" No answer. He placed one of his bananas near her hand. She barely moved, but her fingers so thin, so fragile, curled around it. She peeled it slowly, as though afraid it would vanish. "Eat," Baba said gently. "We'll talk after." She ate in silence, bite after bite, as tears ran down her dusty cheeks. That evening, Baba didn't return home with a full basket. Instead, he carried the girl on his back, whispering songs his mother once sang to him as a child. Songs of healing. Songs of hope. He laid her on his mat, covered her with his only cloth, and lit the cracked lantern in the flickering light. He saw something in her face, something stubborn, something gentle, something familiar. The next morning, she finally spoke. "My name's Zuri," she said, voice raspy. "Zuri," Baba repeated, smiling. "That means beautiful. It suits you." From that day forward, Baba Kofi had two purposes: to sell his bananas and to raise Zuri. He taught her how to wash with a calabash, how to share even when you have nothing, to pray before eating, and how to look people in the eyes when you speak. Zuri, in turn, brought color into his lonely world. She laughed when the goats chased the chickens. She danced when it rained. She read every label on every banana box he brought back from town, trying to learn new words. She was bright. So bright that even the village teacher, Miss Abina, noticed. "This girl," she told Baba one day, "she doesn't belong only here. Her mind stretches farther than these fields." Baba nodded, then let it fly. "I'll give her my wings." But the road to the future costs more than a man with a banana cart can afford. So Baba worked harder. He pushed his cart into the city edges, where people paid more and bargained less. He started earlier and came home later, all for Zuri and Zuri. She studied by candlelight. She helped Baba sort bananas. She never complained, never asked why the other children had shoes and she didn't. Her eyes were on something beyond the horizon. But the world is not kind to the poor, even the generous ones. And soon, that kindness would be tested. Asterisk, asterisk, the seasons shifted as they always did. Rain came. Then the dry winds followed. But what never changed was Baba Kofi's routine. Each morning, he'd wheel his creaky banana cart to the main road and wave at the same faces. The villagers, who once scoffed at his choice to raise a child not his own, had begun to respect him. "She's not even your blood." Some had whispered in the early days. "She's more mine than any I could have made," he'd replied. And in Zuri, the village saw something rare: a girl with dignity, ambition, and grace. by the age of 15. She had read every borrowed book the school could offer. By 16, she began helping the village elders draft letters to the government and translate city documents. By 17, she received a scholarship to study agricultural economics in the capital. It should have been a day of celebration. But instead, it felt like a funeral to Baba. "You're leaving," he said quietly, sitting on a wooden stool as Zuri packed her threadbare bag. "I'm going to learn, Baba," she said, "to come back and change things." He looked at her not as a child, but as a young woman, ready to carry something heavy. "I'm proud of you, my daughter." Zuri knelt before him, took his wrinkled hands in hers, and said, "I will never forget where I came from." She didn't. City life was a different. Rhythm fast, chaotic, overwhelming. But Zuri adjusted. She studied by day and worked at a restaurant by night, washing dishes, saving every shilling she could. Sometimes she ate only once a day, sometimes not at all. But every week, without fail, she sent a small envelope back to Baba Kofi. Inside, a few notes, sometimes a short letter, and always hope. Back in the village, Baba still sold bananas. But his body had changed. His knees creaked louder. His breath grew shorter. His eyes, though still warm, began to dim. Yet when anyone asked him how he was, he'd smile and say, "My daughter is becoming a leader. My work is paying off." One day, as he sat on his mat peeling bananas, he whispered to the wind, "If only I had more time, I'd sell the whole world for her future." But time, as always, had other plans. 3 years passed. Then one day, Zuri returned. No warning, no letter. Just a sudden knock on Baba's crooked door. He opened it and dropped his cane. There she stood in a crisp white blouse, a leather bag on her shoulder, and city confidence in her step. But her eyes still held that same softness from the day he found her under the cart. "Zuri," he whispered. She ran into his arms. "Baba, I'm home." They wept like rivers reunited with the sea. That night, Zuri told him everything. Her education, her thesis project, and her vision. An organic agriculture company that connects local farmers to urban markets, cutting out greedy middlemen. "But I need to start somewhere," she said. Baba chuckled. "Start here." She paused. "You mean, use our banana stand?" She laughed through tears. "Our stand." "Yes," he smiled. "If it raised a girl like you, it can raise a business too." And so it began, with a wooden stall, a chalkboard, and Zuri's fire. They renamed it Zuri Organics. At first, people scoffed. A young woman leading a market stand, selling without haggling, preaching fair trade. But as the fruits became fresher, prices fairer, and trust stronger, the market changed. And Zuri's dream began to grow. Asterisk, asterisk, as Zuri's dreams stretched toward the sky. Baba Kofi's steps became heavier. Though proud, he now stayed in the background, letting Zuri make the decisions, speak to customers, and manage farmers. He still peeled bananas in the mornings, but more slowly now. His hands, once steady, had begun to tremble. Zuri noticed. "Baba, let me hire someone to help you," she offered. Gently. "I'm not finished yet," he smiled. "Let me do what I can while I still can." She didn't press further. She knew her Baba was like the baobab tree, weathered but proud, offering shelter to all. But pride cannot stop the body from wearing down. One rainy morning, as the market buzzed and people scurried for cover, Baba slipped on the muddy path behind their stall. His old knees gave way. A sharp cry escaped his lips as he crumpled beside a crate of plantains. Zuri ran to him. "Baba?" He winced, trying to stand. "I'm fine. Just a scratch," but it wasn't. The village healer confirmed it was a fracture. He would need weeks, maybe months, to heal. They took him home, propped him up with pillows, and wrapped his leg with herbs, but Baba hated being still. He hated hearing the cart leave without him. And most of all, he hated the silence when Zuri was away. He felt useless. One evening, Zuri returned late from a meeting with a potential investor. She found Baba staring at the cracked lantern, lost in thought. "I've been thinking," he said quietly. "HM." She replied, removing her dusty shoes. "I want to go back." To the market, Zuri knelt beside him. "Baba, you can't even walk yet. I'm not asking to carry crates. Just let me sit there, watch people, smell the bananas again." Zuri's eyes welled up. "The market isn't the same without you, but I need you to heal first." Baba nodded but said nothing more. That night, Zuri saw something shift in him, something deep, as though part of him had stepped away from life and was waiting to be called back. Meanwhile, Zuri Organics was changing. It wasn't just a stall anymore. It had become a brand. Local farmers lined up to work with her, grateful to sell directly and fairly. Schools invited her to speak. Journalists wrote stories about the girl raised by a banana seller. And yet, as the company grew, Zuri felt an emptiness too. Her success had moved beyond the stall, beyond the village, and so had she. Days passed when she barely saw Baba. She was busy chasing the dream. But she didn't notice what she was leaving. Behind one morning, a neighbor came knocking. Zuri. Baba Kofi was seen walking along toward the city highway. She froze. "What?" "I saw him take his banana crate and disappear past the hill." Panic surged. Zuri ran. Asterisk, asterisk. Through the dust, she saw a figure in the distance, slow, bent, but determined. "Baba," she shouted. He didn't stop. She caught up, breathless, grabbing his arm. "Where are you going?" He didn't meet her eyes. "To the city market. I need to sell." "Baba, why?" He sighed. "Because I need to feel alive again. I'm not just the father of the CEO, Zuri. I'm the man who raised her with these hands." Her lips quivered. "You never stopped being that." She took the crate from him. "Come," she said. "Let's go home." But deep inside, Baba Kofi knew. Time was slipping away, and soon, even the strength to walk would be a memory. He had given Zuri everything, and she was about to learn how much he had truly given. Asterisk, asterisk, time, like the river, never stops flowing. And while Baba Kofi's days slowed into rest, Zuri's days raced into something else entirely: business. She had turned their humble stall into a full-fledged enterprise. With new partnerships, packaging, and contracts, Zuri Organics became a symbol of ethical trade and local empowerment. Her produce found shelves in upscale city stores. Orders poured in from restaurants and health shops. What once was banana bundles and baskets had become barcode labeled. Organic boxes stamped with her logo, a banana leaf in the shape of Africa. Zuri was invited to summits, given awards, and even appeared on national TV. But something always lingered. Behind the flashing cameras, behind the fancy meetings, and behind her bright, practiced smile was Baba. He stayed home more often now. His legs had healed, but his strength hadn't fully returned. He no longer asked about banana prices or market gossip. Instead, he stared out the window, humming old village songs. Zuri tried to bridge the growing silence. "I was asked to speak at the Youth Agribusiness Summit," she said one morning. "Good," he replied. "They said I'm an inspiration." "You are." She forced a smile. "They also want to do a short documentary about our journey." Baba looked up. "Finally, our journey." "Yes, you and me. The banana cart. Everything." He nodded slowly. "Just don't let them rewrite the truth." "I won't." The documentary crew came a week later. They filmed the stall, the village paths, Baba's little hut. He sat on his mat as cameras rolled and told his part of the story, his voice steady but soft. When I found her, he said, I didn't see a burden. I saw someone the world had forgotten, and I just remembered her. Zuri stood nearby, wiping her eyes. Later that night, they sat together, drinking warm millet porridge. Baba, she said gently, do you regret not having your own children? He chuckled. Zuri, I had 100 chances to be a father, but I only needed one that mattered. She leaned against his shoulder, and in that moment, she realized she hadn't built Zuri Organics alone. She had built it on his shoulders. But the higher she rose, the more disconnected she became from her roots. A new investor from Nairobi offered a massive opportunity: expansion into East African cities. The only condition, Zuri, the investor said during a late-night video call, we need your headquarters to be in the capital. For visibility, for prestige. She hesitated, but my business is in the village, and your brand is bigger than that now. She stared at the screen, heart torn. That night, she told Baba about the offer. He listened quietly, sipping his tea. Do you want to go? He asked. I don't know. I'd miss this place. I'd miss you. He placed his cup down. My child, I raised you to fly, not to stay in a cage, Evan, if that cage is made of love. A few weeks later, Zuri moved to the capital with Baba's blessing. She opened a new office, hired a team, created training programs for young farmers. She wore tailored suits and negotiated contracts that once seemed like distant dreams. But not everything grew smoothly. In the bustling city, Zuri faced her first corporate betrayal. A partner mismanaged funds. Deliveries were delayed. Her staff stumbled, and the pressure mounted like never before. One night, after a long board meeting gone wrong, she stood in her new, glass-walled office, exhausted, disillusioned. She looked out the window at the city lights and whispered, Baba, I miss the market. I miss your laugh. I miss the smell of fresh bananas in the morning. But Baba Kofi, now back in the village, didn't know she was whispering to him, because that very week, he fell gravely ill. Too ill to even get out of bed. And Zuri had no idea. Not yet. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. It was a Monday morning in the capital, where everything moved in a blur, cars honking, people rushing, voices climbing over each other like vines on concrete. Zuri sat at her desk, buried under paperwork and presentation slides. Her company, Zuri Organics, had just signed a nationwide distribution deal. Investors were happy. Clients were growing. The media called her the Banana Queen, but deep inside, something had gone quiet. Her phone buzzed. Caller ID, Mama Kwesi, village neighbor. Zuri blinked. She hadn't spoken to Mama Kwesi in months. She answered immediately. Hello. A pause. Then a trembling voice. Zuri, it's Baba Kofi. He's not well. The words dropped like stones in her chest. What happened? He collapsed 2 nights ago. He's barely speaking now. We didn't want to worry you, but, child, it's time. Zuri's breath caught. Her entire world tilted. I'm coming home, she said. No meetings, no explanations, no delays. Within hours, she boarded a bus back to the village, her heart racing faster than the wheels beneath her. The road that once felt like a bridge of dreams now felt like a lifeline. Trees blurred past her window. She stared at them, but saw only memories: Baba peeling bananas, Baba fixing her torn dress, Baba whispering, grow kind. When she finally reached the village, it was dusk. Everything looked the same, yet nothing felt the same. She ran through familiar paths toward the hut she once called home. Inside, lit by a dim lantern, lay Baba Kofe's Hanner, weaker eyes half closed. Baba. She breathed. He turned slowly, eyes struggling to focus. But then he smiled. Zuri, he whispered. You came back. Tears fell freely now. I never left you, Baba. I just got busy flying." He chuckled weakly. Even birds returned to the tree that raised them. She sat beside him, cradling his hand. It was rough, dry, but still familiar. "You should have told me," she said. "You were building something bigger. I didn't want to pull you away, but you're everything, Baba. You are the reason I exist." He squeezed her hand faintly. "Then live well, for both of us." That night, she slept on the floor beside his mat, just like when she was little. She didn't care about offices, or emails, or the chaos waiting in the city. She just wanted time to stop, but it didn't. In the following days, she stayed in the village. By Baba's side, she cooked, cleaned, even reopened the old banana stall for a few mornings, just like old times. Villagers whispered, amazed, "Is that Zuri, the CEO, selling bananas again?" But Zuri didn't care. She wasn't the CEO here. Here, she was just his daughter. Then, one early morning, as the rooster crowed and the sun painted the sky in gold, Baba Kofi opened his eyes wide one final time. He looked at Zuri and said with a smile, "You were my greatest harvest." And with that, he was gone. The village mourned. Children lit candles. Farmers came in droves. Everyone remembered the man who had nothing but gave everything. Zuri buried him under the baobab tree behind his hut, and as she stood over his grave, she whispered, "I will carry your spirit in every fruit, in every deal, in every kindness I offer." But little did she know, Baba Kofi's story wasn't finished, because fate was about to write one last chapter, and this one would be the twist no one expected. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The very next morning, Zuri made a decision that would surprise everyone, from her top investors in Nairobi to the villagers who still called her that banana girl. She held a press conference at the new Zuri Organics campus. Journalists gathered in their neat blazers and eager voices, expecting some glossy corporate announcement about funding or franchising. But instead, Zuri walked up to the microphone. In her village wrapper and sandals, no suit, no jewelry, no rehearsed script. She held a framed photograph of Baba Kofi smiling beside his old banana cart, and then she spoke. This company was not built by a boardroom. It was built by a man with calloused hands, a weak back, and a strong heart. A man who sold bananas to feed a dream that wasn't even his. And today, I want to honor that legacy. Asterisk, asterisk, she paused, her voice catching. From this day forward, Baba Kofi will be listed as the founding honorary chairman of Zuri Organics. His values, fairness, kindness, and dignity will be written into every policy, every deal, every training program, because his story is this company's soul. The crowd went silent. Then someone clapped. Then everyone did. Asterisk, asterisk, that moment went viral. Banana seller named honorary. Chairman of fast-growing agribusiness CEO pays tribute to the man who raised her from the streets, from crate to boardroom. The legacy of Baba Kofi. But Zuri didn't care about headlines. She cared about preserving what mattered. She returned to the village with her executive team and opened the Baba Kofi Community Farm and Agricultural Learning Center for poor children and young farmers. She used her wealth to build a small clinic named the Zuri Kofi Wellness House, a village library filled with books she once read by candlelight, and most importantly, a new banana market stall, not to make money, but to train young villagers in sales, discipline, and humility. On its sign, painted in careful strokes, were the words, "Kindness first, profit later, Baba's rule, asterisk, asterisk." One day, as Zuri visited the center, a small girl tugged on her skirt. "Are you the lady who sells bananas and goes on TV?" Zuri knelt, smiling. "Yes, but first, I was the girl who used to sleep under a cart." The girl tilted her head. "Were you poor?" "I had nothing. But I had someone who believed in me." The girl nodded. I want to believe in someone too." Zuri handed her a small banana. "Start by believing in yourself." That night, Zuri sat alone under the stars, beside the baobab tree where Baba was buried. She laid down a fresh banana on the soil, like an offering. Then she whispered, "You gave me everything, Baba, and now I'm giving it to others. Your name lives on, not just in me, but in every child we lift up." The wind rustled the leaves. She closed her eyes, and for the briefest second, she could almost hear him say, "Grow kind, my daughter." Asterisk, asterisk, months passed. Zuri Organics thrived, like a well-watered garden. The company expanded across multiple districts. Local farmers earned more than ever. Women in rural communities began forming cooperatives under Zuri's mentorship programs. And yet, Zuri couldn't shake the feeling that something was unfinished. One evening, while reviewing old papers in the dusty corner of Baba's hut papers she hadn't dared to touch since his passing, she found something unusual. It was an envelope, worn, brown by time, and sealed with a small string. Written in shaky penmanship were the words, "Zuri, only open when you're ready." Her hands trembled. She sat by the window as dusk fell across the village and carefully unknotted the string. Inside were two things: a letter, A folded, faded birth. Certificate. The letter voice softens, as if Baba is speaking from beyond my Zuri. If you're reading this, then perhaps you've found peace. And if not peace, then purpose. I never told you the full story of where you came from. I was afraid it would steal the strength you built on your own. The day I found you, I wasn't the first one to see you under that cart. A man well-dressed had left you there. I saw him walking away fast, disappearing into a black car. I didn't know his name, but the way he left you behind, it broke something in me. I later found this certificate hidden in your bag. I kept it, thinking you'd ask about your past one day. But you never did. You were always looking forward. You built your life with both hands. But just in case the past ever comes searching for you, this is your truth. I love you. Baba Kofi Zuri's hands shook as she opened the folded birth certificate. Her eyes scanned the faded lines. Name, Zuri Ama Kwabena. Place of birth, Lusaka General Hospital. Mother, unknown. Father, Kwabena Mensa. Her breath caught. Kwabena Mensa. The CEO of Mensa Holdings, one of the largest export companies in East Africa. Her mind raced. Could it be a coincidence? Was this some other Kwabena Mensa? But deep down, she knew. This wasn't random. The man who abandoned her was now one of the most powerful businessmen in the region. And her company, Zuri Organics, was rapidly becoming his biggest competitor in the agro-trade industry. The irony twisted like a knife. She had spent years building her empire from dust and sweat. And the man who had discarded her like spoiled fruit might soon have to answer to the very life he tried to erase. But Zuri wasn't angry. She wasn't vengeful. She was resolved. She placed the letter and certificate back in the envelope. Then, without hesitation, she picked up her phone and called her assistant. "Schedule a meeting with Mensa Holdings," she said. "Tell them Zuri Organics wants to negotiate a supply chain merger. Not for revenge, but to rewrite history on her terms." Asterisk, asterisk, the headquarters of Mensa Holdings towered over the city like a symbol of unshaken power, glass, steel, and stone wrapped around secrets. Zuri stood at its front steps, wearing a bold green and gold kente blazer, her head held high. She had no entourage, no press, no announcements, just her and the truth. Inside, executives glanced up from polished desks. A few whispered her name. She was well known now, the village girl turned CEO, the face of African agri-innovation. But none of them knew the real reason for her visit. A receptionist led her into a large conference room. Sunlight poured in through panoramic windows, At the far end of the room stood Kwabena Mensa, tall, gray at the temples, well-kept suit, sharp eyes. The air of a man used to being the most important person in every room. He turned as she entered. "Ah, Zuri, we finally meet." She smiled politely. "Thank you for agreeing to the meeting." He gestured to a seat. "I've heard quite a lot about you. Zuri Organics is making waves." She sat. "I imagine it's hard to ignore when the waves reach your shoreline." Chuckled. "True. A few formalities followed: pricing structures, regional logistics, sourcing cooperatives." He praised her growth, marveled at her market reach. But she barely listened. She was studying him. His hands, his mannerisms, the way he never blinked for long. She searched for the man in Baba's letter. The man who walked away from a child, under a banana cart. Then finally, she spoke. "I know why I'm here," she said softly. Kwabena tilted his head. "Of course. We're talking about partnership? No, that's not why I came." He blinked. Then Zuri reached into her bag and pulled out the birth certificate. She laid it on the glass table, gently turning it toward him. Silence. He stared. A moment passed, then another. He leaned forward, read the name, froze, then leaned back in his chair as if the air had been pulled from the room. "You're her." Zuri nodded. "Yes, I'm the daughter you abandoned." The silence returned louder this time. A silence full of ghosts. Kwabena didn't deny it. He rubbed his face with his hand. "I was a different man then." "You were a man in a car," she said evenly. "Walking away from a girl with no name, no shoes, and no future." He looked away. Zuri continued, voice steady. "I don't need an apology. I didn't come for that. I came to understand." His eyes met hers. "I was scared. Your mother. She left. I didn't know what to do. I was building my company. It's my reputation. I was selfish, weak, and I thought letting you go would solve everything. It didn't," Zuri said. "You let go of your blood, but someone else picked me up." Kwabena closed his eyes, pain flickering across his face. "Baba Kofi," she said. "He raised me with nothing, but gave me everything. He gave me a name, a home, and love. The kind of love you buried under your ambition." He swallowed hard. "I've spent years wondering what happened to you. I didn't think I deserved to find out." "You didn't," Zuri replied, "but life decided otherwise." She stood. "This isn't revenge. I came because I needed to close a door." "Zuri," he whispered, "I'm not your secret anymore. I'm not a ghost you left in the market." He, "Rose too is there. Any way I can be part of your life, even as a colleague." This man who shared her blood, but none of her journey. She smiled. "You can join the supply chain," she said, "if your company agrees to fair pricing for our small-scale farmers." He looked stunned. "That's it. That's everything." With that, she left outside. The air felt lighter. Zuri looked up at the sky. Baba Kofi once told her, "Blood makes you related. Kindness makes you family." And in that moment, she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. Asterisk, asterisk. Months passed since that fateful meeting. Zuri returned to the rhythm. She had grown to love splitting her time between boardrooms in the capital and barefoot walks in the banana farms of the village. But something had shifted. She was no longer just CEO, Zuri. She was now a bridge between two worlds, between past and present, between forgotten children and a future they deserved. And the bridge was getting wider. The deal with Mensa Holdings went through, but only under Zuri's terms. Her conditions were clear and non-negotiable. All partnered farmers were to be paid above market rates. A portion of Mensa's export profits would go to the Baba Kofi Farmer Fund, offering tools, training, and land grants to young growers. Zuri Organics would maintain full ownership of its village processing centers. Kwabena, Mensa estranged. Father agreed, not out of guilt, but because he had witnessed something he could never build with money. Respect, legacy, redemption. The story of the banana girl continued to ripple across. Africa young entrepreneurs wrote to her daily. Schools invited her for talks. Even governments sought her advice for empowering rural youth. Yet Zuri never forgot her promise to give what Baba gave my opportunity, dignity, and faith. At the newly built Baba Kofi Community Farm, hundreds of children now learn to grow food, build businesses, and write their own stories. One little boy no older than 7 once asked her after class, "Madam Zuri, were you ever small like us?" She smiled and knelt. "I was smaller," she said. "I used to sleep under a cart, hungry, alone." The children gasped, but then someone found me. He didn't have much, but he had a kind heart. Was he rich? One girl asked. "He was the richest man I've ever known," Zuri said, "because he gave love freely." In honor of his legacy, Zuri introduced a new annual event, the Kofi Kindness Festival, where local vendors, farmers, children, and visitors from all over would gather to trade, learn, and share stories. Instead of money, part of the festival allowed people to exchange goods using a new barter model called kind points. If someone helped a neighbor, mentored a child, or shared food, they earned kind points to redeem for farm tools, seeds, or books. The first festival was so successful, it made international headlines. Africa's most impactful CEO builds an economy on kindness. But Zuri didn't need headlines. She already had her reward. Every time she passed the banana stall, every time she watered the baobab tree where Baba rested, every time a child said, "I want to be like you," she knew she was harvesting something greater than profits. She was harvesting a better world. But even with all the impact, all the progress, one final act remained. One act that would close the loop between who she was and who she had become. And that moment was almost here. Asterisk, asterisk, the morning sky was brushed with the soft pinks and oranges of a waking sun. Birds sang in the trees. Gentle breeze danced over the red earth path that led through the village. It had been 10 years since Baba Kofi passed. 10 years since Zuri stood over his grave, banana in hand, whispering promises into the wind. And today, she was keeping the final one. Zuri stood in front of a brand new building, nestled near the original site of Baba's hut. It was modest in design, but powerful in meaning. On its stone front, read the words, "The Kofi Zuri Academy for Children." Of the forgotten inside, children from all over the Reagan orphans, abandoned kids. Street survivors would now receive free education, healthy meals, business training, agricultural skills, and most of all, a sense of family. Each student would be matched with a mentora, modern Baba, to guide them as Baba Kofi had guided her. The opening ceremony was quiet. Zuri didn't invite celebrities or press. Only the children, the villagers, the farmers, and a few friends who had believed in her journey. She stood beneath the baobab tree, the earth still firm around Baba's resting place. The same tree where they used to rest, to dream, to laugh. In her hand, she held a microphone, but her voice, it came from the heart. Many years ago, I had nothing. I slept under a cart, thinking the world had forgotten me. But one old man saw me. He didn't see a beggar. He saw potential. He gave me food, but more than that, he gave me purpose. And now, I give that purpose to you. She looked at the wide-eyed children seated before her. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are seeds. And with care, you will grow into trees the world cannot ignore. The children clapped. Some cried. One little boy raised his hand and asked, "Madam Zuri, Do you still miss Baba? She smiled through tears. Every single day, but I also feel him in every one of you. That night, as the moon rose high above the village, Zuri sat alone beside Baba's grave. She placed one final banana there, just like the very first one he gave her, and she whispered, "You gave me your everything. Now I've given it back to the world. Your legacy is safe, Baba. It lives in every child I touch, in every heart that dares to be kind." A warm breeze rustled the leaves above, and for just a moment, she swore she heard his voice in the wind. Grow kind, my daughter. Asterisk, asterisk. Thanks for watching. Hoped you liked it. If you watched till the end, please comment Baba so that we could understand you were with us till the end. As well as, please let us know, where are you watching from? Before leaving, please hit the subscribe button, comment your thought, and share with your nearest and dearest one. See you in the next one. Until to the next one, stay happy. Goodbye, asterisk, asterisk.